Call hello Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bahasham Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostle great millstone who rule well. I am not a member. However, I've entered into their labors, peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. Now, I want to front load a couple of scriptures. We'll let her do her thing, and then we'll commentate in between. So that'll be kind of what it is. And this isn't going to be very long at all. I mean, at least if, according to the, we're going to go by the Spirit, but I don't foresee this going on past maybe 12 minutes. Just something, a warning to pay attention to what's going on, right? Use the scriptures, use your knowledge that you have, that you've been given to discern the times, okay? And you'll see why I'm gonna say that, all right? Because with captions like this, and to no fault of her own, right? She's actually breaking down and basically she's not fear mongering. She's being realistic about her analysis, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not quite sure, because at this point it's just kind of like everybody's presenting the news like people who are normally known for doing more whimsical or thirst trapping. Now they're talking about, well, here's what's going on, right? And that is written, okay? The Lord is going to put the Spirit, so to speak, not the Holy Spirit, but give a spirit of their tongues falling upon themselves, if this is another E, or basically just your sons and daughters will probably dream dreams, right? They're gonna know, and that's everybody's gonna see it. But the actual Holy Spirit of understanding, true understanding, not just a carnal take, but a take from both ends, carnality and to link it spiritually, right? That is only given to bloodline Israelite, so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, right? And it is not about what you look like. It is about where your father and your forefathers, your grandfathers, where they come from, or who they are, not where they come from, because we've been scattered. So both of the ones I need are in Luke. So we're going to go to Luke 12, and we're going to start around the 48th, 45th-ish verse. Okay, so 35, it says, be in readiness. Okay, is that what I need? Nope, we need 49. Okay, so this Hamashiach, all right, and this is the subheading here. Hamashiach divides men. So we're starting here at Luke 12 and 49. This is the words of our, Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. I am come to set fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? All right? And I'm just going to keep reading. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how I am straitened till it be accomplished. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on the earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. From henceforth shall there be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Okay, so then this says, and he said also to the people, so continuing on reading, and when ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, there cometh the shower. And so it is. And when ye see a south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, right? So you're able to discern the times, and you're able to discern when a storm is coming, right, by signs. And that is how you determine the storm spiritually, by the signs. And I say all that to say other people will fearmonger, and if you are not fully rooted and persuaded, and you don't have full understanding, you may go into panic mode, and panic mode stops you from making good decisions or the right decision. So people will hear nuclear and just fall out, right? But I say that to say no. First of all, there are different and I pulled that up. There are different classifications of nuclear weapons. But that all-out lake of fire that people might think is gonna happen will not happen before the microchip is implemented. Or damn, well, I said it already. It will not happen before the MOTB, the injectable for the detectable, is mandatory. Then the lake of fire. Then the return, or it. So first the CHIP, then return of Yahushua and lake of fire. Okay, that is the order. And you have to pay attention to what's going on, and you have to know the timeline, right? Now, is it going to happen in succession? Is it like Monday comes the implementation and Tuesday comes? I don't know. You don't know. The Lord will work. He said he's going to speed up the time, but we'll see when we get there. In the flesh, I ain't in a rush to get there, but in the spirit, I'm like, get this shit over with. Just, please, just get it over with. Anyway, so we read that. Okay, let me finish. So at 55, I read 55. I read it again. And when ye see the south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time? All right, so there's that. And then I kind of... you got 13, Revelation 13, right, and 16, where it talks about the implementation. And then on the very next chapter, we're looking at 14 and the 144,000, okay, and then the Lamb comes. So even in that way, now are 13 and 14 chronological? Maybe, but it is a perspective from what's going on the earth, and then directly after what's coming down from the heavens to the earth. So let's go ahead and let her say, because I also need, we'll also get Revelation. I'm sorry, 2nd Ezra 13. But let's let her say what she's going to say. And we'll pull up some stuff on the different weapons, and that'll be it.
Bridge got bombed, okay? That's the equivalent. Let's discuss the nuclear threat that has the internet currently abuzz. There are content creators coming out saying that Donald Trump has nuclear warheads on their way to Iran. And although he has not publicly specifically said, I'm sending nuclear bombs to Iran, what he has said is that he is going to heavily fire on Iran because it's the only way to penetrate 145 miles deep into the Pickaxe Mountains, where he alleges they have a nuclear facility. This is the wild goose chase of weapons of mass destruction that we saw from Bush Jr. It's essentially the same thing. Tomato.
Yep, same old. This old dog ain't got no new tricks. And since he's been made bare, people ain't going for the WMDs.
Coming up with an excuse to bomb Iran. You have to understand that the only reason we are currently at war with Iran is because Netanyahu requested us to be. He wanted to be able to genocide the Gentiles or the Christian population in southern Lebanon. And at present, he is executing that with American taxpayer dollars. Now, we are kind of jumping to the conclusion that he's going to use nuclear warfare, but the bunker buster bombs are nuclear warheads. And if you want to penetrate into 145 miles of solid mountain rock, well, what other fucking weapon is going to do that? He has...
Right. So that's enough of that. Everything else, she's going into examples. That's really all we need. So I asked, which I already know, but I asked, you got to form it the right way. Are there different classifications of these types of weapons? Unlike what we saw in World War II. I had one more thing to say about what she was going to say. Don't remember. But anyway, there are different types, right? So, mind you, the spirit of, just as the Lord sent an evil spirit onto Saul to try and slay David, this is on a much larger scale for prophecy to be fulfilled. There's a wicked spirit on the physical representation of Satan, right, and his people on the earth, BB, and he's doing his job, right? He's doing what the Lord told him to do on the left-hand side. But the right hand is going to come and flatten that soon. Now let's continue on. So it says, yes, there are classifications by their scientific design, okay, and military purpose. It's not possible to centralize. Oh, I asked, is it possible to centralize or to trap, radiate? Which it's not. I needed it to explain everything. So, or fully contain the spread of radiation from a nuclear blast, while certain design adjustments and detonation tactics can significantly reduce long-term radioactive fallout compared to the bombs dropped in World War II, and any true nuclear explosion inherently releases radiation, right? Obviously. That is subject to unpredictable weather and wind patterns. So who knows? Maybe when when they finally let loose and the earth being rocked to and fro, as the scriptures say, right? The Lord may have some weather patterns kind of get a little crazy, and that wind will carry that fire. Wind and fire go hand in hand when it comes to destruction, and it'll spread. That's how you get that full lake of fire look, all right, on an entire continent. So here are the classifications, all right, are broadly categorized in two ways: by by the physics of how they generate energy, and by how the military intends to use them. Fission. So a bomb or atomic bomb rely purely on splitting heavy atomic nuclei like uranium-235 or plutonium-239. Weapons dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, by the way. Who's the only person to do that? You see what I'm saying? The man of sin. They were fission bombs, okay? They had a lower maximum yield than modern weapons, but create high amounts of radioactive fission products. So thermonuclear or hydrogen bomb, these are the ones that burn hot. That's when you see the scripture, their eyes shall consume in their holes. Let's get that real quick before we continue. Which, I mean, hell, the atom, the A can do that as well if you're close enough. But these thermonuclear, you feel heat miles away. So this is on a whole nother level, and the Lord allowed him to get this far for a reason, right? He never would have been allowed to get this far on his own, right? They are not smart. They are not anything that they claim to be, right? Basically, everything, all the positive attributes contributed to Jacob, they tried to take on themselves and then label it with a color, white, meaning pure and good and wholesome. See what I'm saying? You motherfuckers, what? This is Zechariah 14 and 12 in the KJV. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongues shall consume away in their mouth. There's your thermonuclear. Okay, so let's continue reading. These use a two-stage design where a primary fission bomb detonates. So there's the compression and the explode. So it comes in and it explodes out. And since if you've ever tried to light one of those, what is it called, the Black Cat firecracker, one of those firecrackers, or is it M40 or M80? Light it in a lid that's closed. So the things compress and then expand, and it doesn't have anywhere to go but up. That lid is gonna blow off. So that okay. I'm not gonna get into a science and physics, but let's continue. Let's stay on point. I'm sorry, it's locking. Okay, so these use a two-stage design where a primary fission bomb detonates to compress and ignite a secondary stage of hydrogen isotopes. That is fusion. I'm sorry, yeah, fusion, not fission. They are vastly more powerful than pure fission bombs, as we stated, okay? And then there's an enhanced radiation weapon. Enhanced radiation weapon. So those are the or let me just continue. Neutron bombs. These are modified thermonuclear weapons designed to maximize lethal in immediate ionizing radiation while minimizing the explosive blast wave and long-term fallout. They were conceived to neutralize enemy soldiers in armored vehicles without destroying nearby infrastructure. Dang. Okay, so here's a different way to categorize them by their deployment. Okay, so these tactical, non-strategic, this is the second one. Okay, smaller yield, intended for use on a localized battlefield to change the outcome of an active military engagement. So that's what they will probably be looking at. Okay, with these heavily, and when he says he's going to heavily bomb Iran, these are more than likely will start with these, right? It's not going to be the ICBM because, right, what did I say? The MOTB had to be implemented first before the big boys, the real ones, the 200,000, right, that are coming here. And none of them, the arrows that are going to come and that not return, right? The Lord's Spirit is going to be on those. Those are after the mandatory implementation. So you must be able to discern in the times that we're in by the reading of the scriptures and having an understanding. And if you don't get it, pray about it, man. Prayer is not an option in this thing. That is your lifeline. Imagine being on a boat with a life jacket and you just sit there and leave the life jacket on the damn boat and try to figure out how you going to get to shore. You ain't going to do nothing but tire yourself out swimming and you're going to drown. Put the damn life jacket on. All right? Picking up what I'm putting down? Okay, so the rest of this we don't really need. All right, air burst, ground burst. Okay. There was something else that I wanted to... What did we read? Okay. Yeah. I think we've covered what we need to cover. So basically all that I wanted to say here is... All right, if you see... Oh, no. I'm sorry. Let's get Second Ezra. Chapter 13, and then we'll end it, right? Okay. So, I'm going to fast forward. In the beginning, it was talking about, because the angel told Ezra or Esdras, fast a little bit more, and, I'll come back to you, and I'll give you another vision. So he did so, okay, and this is what he dreamt. And lo, and this is verse 2, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Now, this scene is, that whole all-out battle for it all, the World War III. And Yahushua is going to come in the midst of that, and then they are going to try to turn and fight him, right? They were scared, yet durst fight. Roughly paraphrased. So that's where we're at. Okay, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. All right, and that's how also when you fast forward, it talks about, Babylon being destroyed in 1 hour and all that, because it's about the return. First, the bombs fly and Yahushua return. Boom, boom, right, just like that. And those who are going to be beamed up will be beamed up, and those who aren't, well, that's the ones in Revelation 14 that they're talking about. Let me continue. Okay, verse 5, and after all this, and behold, I lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, the four winds of heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. After this I beheld, and lo, all they which gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yes, yet durst fight. And lo, he saw the violence of the multitude that came, and he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest. So it goes on to say it was all mixed together, okay? And the multitude which was prepared to fight and burn them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw it, I was afraid. And make no mistake about it, we will all be afraid too. Just because we have an understanding and we know what we are seeing and we know that it was prophesied doesn't mean it makes it less scary when you see something. Think about when the men in the forefathers, when they saw the angels for the first time, when an angel came to them. They were so afraid, they thought they were going to die. They were still righteous men. They knew the Lord. They knew of these things. But when the angel was in their presence, when you were physically in the presence of divinity, all right, and something that your mind cannot perceive, spirit has to take over, right? But, we going to see all that. It's going to be terrifying yet exciting. And in the meantime, you need to continue to pray, be repentant, right? And just watch as things progress. All right, so with that being said, shalom.